This is Feed Your Mind. And so Auguste Piccard, he had an interesting observation when he went up into the stratosphere. He came back and did an interview with Popular Science magazine and claimed that he saw a flat Earth disc-shaped Earth with edges upturned. That was his observation after traveling to the stratosphere. And so the stratosphere is said to be about 10 to 30 miles in the air. And so some say the troposphere can go up to 12 miles. So the troposphere is right below the stratosphere. And they say the troposphere starts somewhere around 4 to 12 miles up. That's pretty much the lower part of the troposphere is pretty much where airplanes fly. So they say that Auguste Piccard was able to beat that, and he was the first guy to ever really go that far up in the air. So they said Auguste went up to about 10 miles in the air. And they might be lowballing him because his observations was that he saw what appeared to be a flat disc-shaped Earth. He was surprised that it was flat, and the reason why he was surprised was because, you see, this was like in the 1930s, pretty much. So when Auguste gave his interview, it was in the Popular Science magazine in 1931. And so I'll leave a link for so you can check out the article. But basically, so Piccard was pretty much stunned because before he went up there to the stratosphere, the general public was seeing boats disappearing over the alleged horizon, which is actually an artificial horizon, which is what we've just now been discovering, because people have been pretty much assuming that boats were going over the edge, which is usually about 3 miles away or so. Like, you can't really see that far. So when they saw the boats go over the horizon, it wasn't much further than 3 to maybe 10 miles away at max, possibly. I mean, they say the general sight of distance is usually around 3 miles. So it really wasn't a great distance, or even really a distance that would match the globe curvature math. But everybody just assumed that's what was happening, was boats were going over the edge at that time, and they still do to this day. So Piccard was shocked when he went up. Well, they say just 10 miles. Like I said, they might be lowballing him. He might have made it up further, but when he went up 10 miles and he looked around, all he saw was a flat plane. He looked all around himself. He did a 360. All he could do was see a flat plane below him. And so the horizon never dropped beyond eye level, and it never turned into a ball. It never started to curve. He saw a flat plane. He called it a disc. And he also said he saw upturned edges, which was interesting. But I'm not even sure if he went up high enough to actually see the entire flat Earth disc. I mean, apparently he didn't, because if he only went up 10 miles, he didn't see the entire Earth. He just saw a portion of the Earth. But I guess it looked like he was seeing the whole thing, just because no matter where he looked, everything was flat. And I'm sure that's not what he was expecting to see. He was expecting to see the curvature of the Earth, and he didn't. And so people will say, they'll try to discredit this article in Popular Science. First of all, people will try to act like the article doesn't exist. So I pulled up the article and I have it now. So like I said, link will be in the comment section and the description box if you want to check it out. But yeah, this article exists, and it does mention that he described the Earth as a flat disk. So then if you can get the deniers to realize that there actually is an article, then they'll be like, well, he didn't say that. It's not a direct quote. But nah, I mean, this is a popular science magazine. They 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 just had no influence at the time. Like at that time, science was more like honest, I would say, and they didn't have these big sponsors and stuff where they can't say this and they can't say that. They just said what he said, I believe, and that's what he said. That's what he told them. That was his report, and they wrote it down accurately, I believe, because at that time they had no motive to throw that in there, and there's no real logical reason why they would have just thrown that in there for no reason. So I think they took their work very serious in that popular magazine book, in that science book, and they wanted to have an accurate representation of what Piccard was saying, and I believe he did say that. And so there, like I said, there was no reason for him not to say that, because I'm sure he was super surprised when he realized that he didn't see a globe Earth when he went up that high. Now, years later, well, decades later, Felix Baumgartner pretty much doubled what Piccard did, and Felix went up 24 miles up in the air. And then ever since Piccard, though, I believe that's when they started, science started cracking down, and whenever technology came around and people started putting cameras on these balloons, I think that's why they are so insistent on making sure weather balloons have a curved fisheye lens, because they know what Piccards are, and they have to keep that. They tried to keep that under wraps for as long as possible, I believe, because they didn't want that getting out. Most people see the fisheye lens from a weather balloon and they're instantly fooled by it. They don't even question it. For so many decades, people have been seeing that, and they didn't question it until flat earthers came around 2015 and started sending our own balloons up. People like Rob Skiba and others sent their own weather balloons up. These balloons reached from 20 to 30 miles in the air, and they didn't have a curved fisheye lens on their balloons, so they were able to see that and verify that the Earth is indeed a flat plane when you get up that high. That's when people like Neil deGrasse Tyson came along and said, well, you're not high enough to see the curved Earth from that height, even at 30 miles high, and 20 to 30 miles high. So he's trying to say that at that distance, you're too close to the Earth still, and you're not going to see the curvature of the Earth from that height. So then that statement verifies that nobody was seeing the curved Earth from land when they see a boat go over the edge, supposedly go over the curvature. That means that's not what's happening, and we verified that now. And then that also means that the general public thinks they saw the curve of the Earth from an airplane window. So now that's completely debunked, because Neil deGrasse Tyson says 20 to 30 miles up, you're not going to see the curve. So nobody's seeing it below that either. And so that means, well, if you ask me, at what point are you supposed to see the curve? I mean, if you're not seeing it at 20 to 30 miles up, where's the calculator math? Where's the precise math as to what height do you have to be to allegedly see this curve now? Because to me, it sounds like they're moving the goalposts now. It's like no matter how high you get up, every time you verify that the curve isn't present, they're going to say, well, you got to go up higher and higher. Well, that's not science. We need to know exactly how many miles is science going to claim that you have to be up to see the curvature Earth, because nobody's ever saw it so far. Now, recently, people have been allegedly shattering Felix Baumgartner's 24 miles. So first it was Piccard, now it's Baumgartner, but now they have people like Bezos and the Virgin Galactic guy. They're now claiming that they've reached beyond 24 miles. They're saying they've made it up to the Kármán line, which is around 60 miles up. So with the Virgin Galactic rocket launch and Jeff Bezos space tours, they're saying they went a little bit higher than 60 miles. So anywhere from 60 to probably 65 miles in the air, somewhere around there. So now they're getting up, they're claiming to have gone up even higher than before now. But they're not showing us any verification of curvature. I think they're still up to their old tricks with the fisheye lenses, and they're trying to cover up the truth. And so now we know for sure that there's no proof of curvature. And they're trying to avoid, well, science is trying to avoid giving us a direct height at what height should we start seeing the curvature. And so, look, as far as Jeff Bezos and them getting up to 60 to 70 miles up in the air, I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do you believe they actually went that high? It's possible. I believe that they're probably the ones who have literally went up the highest, because, and before that, I think, you know, they might have done stuff like that before with the space agency. So when people say they've gone up, that's pretty much how high they go. And it's not like they start floating or going into orbit. There's no proof of anybody doing that. But there's attempts to get as high as possible into the sky, which is why I brought up in that last video, if it's possible that there's reports that there was an odor of burnt metal when you get super high. So that's kind of where I was going with that, was like, basically people have claimed to have gone up super high in the sky, like 60 miles now. So is it possible they're actually getting that high? So the thing is, we saw this GoPro rocket that went up about 70 miles and hit a hard barrier, but it didn't destroy the rocket. The rocket continued to spin, which was interesting. And, but it stopped suddenly and abruptly. So that gave me enough information to start suspecting that there might be, well, I started suspecting that there might be some type of barrier, possibly around 70 miles high, somewhere around there, until we start seeing any type of validation that anybody can go beyond 70 miles. As far as I'm concerned, until that happens, we can't say for sure anybody has ever gone up higher than 70 miles, because with the ISS and all that, that's not really happening. Like, if there's any type of craft in existence that can stay up in the air, they're not going up higher than 70 miles as far as I'm concerned, as far as right now. So to me, it just kind of, I mean, and that all depends on if you believe Jeff Bezos and Virgin Galactic even made it that high. If you're willing to accept that, then they're pretty much holding the record as far as how high man has went up into the sky. And when people go up that high, then you can kind of get testimonies directly from the people. But as far as cameras, I mean, if we send our own cameras up, you can get some type of verification as well. So anyways, I think I'm going to leave it there for now. But yeah, well, we'll come back at another time and discuss some more about August, because I have some more I wanted to share with you, but we're already getting over 10 minutes. So let's save that for another video. So I'll see you all very soon. If you'd like to, well, make sure you check out the links if you want a closer look at the article of this popular science magazine. And if you'd like to donate to this channel, you can donate as little as $1 to help keep things going here at Feed Your Mind. I also leave links to my other channels. I have 3 channels, if you'd like to subscribe to all of them. And then I'll also leave a link to my social media and much more. So all that will be in the comment section and the description box. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Feed Your Mind, signing off.